Okay, so we're continuing on with Bicklee's Thunder Egg by Bert's Rhoads, and this is chapter 6. Chapter 6 is The Strange Soldier. The next morning, Bickley and Pete brought the muskets along and put them in the weed patch. After the other children had left the schoolhouse, after school, they brought them out and the 4 boys went hunting. The guns were loaded with number 6 shot for squirrels and rabbits. Before many minutes, they startled a rabbit with the adjoining pasture. Now, get your eyes on the rabbit, and then shut them tight when you shoot, Bickley warned Pete as he steadied his own gun on his shoulder. The rabbit had found a temporary shelter in a shallow hole a few yards away. Bickley lifted his musket and pulled the trigger. Despite of closing his eyes, the flash burned his face smartly. He couldn't see anything for a few seconds. The recoil of the heavy gun, although loaded with the lightest of charges, struck Bickley in his chest like a battering ram. Pete was knocked over by the kickback of his musket. By the time boys had recovered themselves, the rabbit had disappeared. Better luck next time, a deep voice spoke right behind them. Here, let me help load your guns. The boys looked around in fear and surprise, but the man appeared to be quite harmless, and he was standing there in the pasture with his worn coat and black slouch hat. Then Bickley saw the GAR badge on his shoulders. All the boys knew what that meant. Niels and Pete's father wore one too. The man was a soldier. They stared at him, and none of the 4 spoke. Come on, let's get those guns loaded, and we'll see if we can't bag something before dark. The stranger spoke in a deep, full voice. We better hurry. It'll soon be sundown. Then Niels spoke up. Where do you live, mister? Niels was the oldest of the boys and the most talkative. Did you come down from Marshalltown? As a matter of fact, I did come from Marshalltown just now. The man smiled down at them. But it isn't my home. I live in Illinois. I'm here on business. You may call me Rudolph. The man took off his black hat. His hair was thick and curly. His eyes twinkled, and his mustache and full beard were dark and curly like his hair. The boys handed their muskets towards the friendly stranger. He took Bickley's first. Your father must have been a Union soldier, he said, looking at the old blue coat. Bickley felt his cheeks turn hot. My father was captured at Benningtonville, and he was at Andersonville prison. My Uncle Dirk died before Vicksburg. He used the words exactly as mother always did. Our daddy came home from the war, and he was sick. He was sick for a very long time and then died, Tommy informed the man. Our dad was in the cavalry, Neil spoke up, full of pride. And he isn't sick. He's home. What shall we use? What should we load? Should we load for geese? Their new friend asked. Oh, mister, that would be fine, they all agreed. Ralph took Bickley's powder flask and poured in 2 measures of powder in the muzzle of the gun. Then he pulled the ramrod from under the barrel of the old musket. Have you got some paper? Asked the boys. Niels bought out a wad of rough tablet paper from his pocket. The soldier rammed it down against the paper. Then he took a measure of lead from the flask and poured it over the powder and rammed another wad of paper over the top of it. Then the soldier carefully put the ramrod back into its place under the musket barrel and fitted the percussion cap under the hollow tube leading to the powder charge. When the trigger was pulled, it would strike the cap, explode it, and send a flame down the tube to ignite the powder. Ralph loaded both muskets, but he gave Pete's back to him to carry. He lifted Bickley's gun to his shoulder, and they walked towards the creek. The sun was very low in the west, and the reddish glow was starting to hang over the white snow, made it look colder. Flocks of geese headed south, flew in great wedges over the farmlands. Most of them flew so high that there wasn't a chance of hitting one of them. But through some breath of happy fortune, attended this new friend they had just made. A flock of geese came swooping down towards the creek that flowed between the school grounds and the Ross farm. The big birds came down for the water. Rudolph picked a goose that was sailing low over the hills, and with a terrific burst of noise, the old musket blazed in the quiet evening. You got him! You got him! All the boys shouted as they came to the spot where the goose lay at the edge of the water. He was a fine big fellow. Must weigh 12 pounds at least, Rudolph said as he lifted the bird. He handed it to Bickley. It's your son, he laughed. It was your musket that shot him. Now, therefore it's your goose. Bickley held out his hand to take the goose with such admiration and excitement filled him. He felt ready to burst with joy and surprise. What would Mother say when she saw this goose coming in the door? For days they had eaten cornmeal mush for breakfast and for supper, and carried jelly sandwiches for lunch. Bickley and Tom felt hungry all the time. Maybe you can come home with us, Bickley said, tightening his hold on the goose. I know Mother would like to see you. Is that your house over there? The soldier pointed to the unpainted granny. Yes, that's our house. It's very near, Bickley urged. I'd like to come, Rudolph said, patting Bickley's head through the wool cap, but I have to hurry back to town. I'll be back around here for a few days. I'll see you boys again. Then a bright idea flashed into Bickley's mind. He looked at the soldier's thin coat. Maybe you would like to have my coat, he said. It seemed right that he should do something for this man who had been so kind. I really don't need it at all, and I think it would fit you. You're a soldier. Rudolph turned his keen blue eyes on Bickley and looked at him for a moment. Are you sure you don't need it? He asked. Oh, I have other coats, Bickley boasted. And it was true. Tommy was wearing one of them right now, and another was very ragged in the barn, while the hens had been using it for a nest for months. Yes, Bickley reasoned to himself. He could do without the blue coat very nicely, especially since the man had given them a fine goose. Rudolph stood for a minute without saying anything. He looked Bickley over at the sharp eyes, measuring the coat from tails to collar, and then with a look of sadness in his eyes, he said, All right, little man, I'll take your coat if your mother is willing, but we must walk to the door and ask her. I don't want you to give away something your mother would be sorry about. At the door of the granary, the boy shouted, Oh, Mother, look! This soldier man shot a goose for us. Can you cook it now? He is a good soldier. Then, before Mother could put her iron on the stove or say anything, Bickley said, May I give him my old blue coat, Mother? It would just fit him, and he needs it. Mother looked at the goose in Bickley's arms. She looked at the other boys, for Pete and Niels were crowding into the kitchen too. Then she looked right over their heads to the soldier, Rudolph. Bickley knew that she could see right away that he needed that coat. She could see he was cold, and his own coat was so thin. Bickley knew she could see. The man's name is Rudolph, Tommy put in. He shot the goose with our gun. The soldier had not spoken. He stood in the door with his hat in his hand, smiling. If Bickley wants you to have his coat, I think you should take it, Mother said. Won't you stay and have supper with us? You have made my boys very happy. I can't stay this time, the soldier said, smiling still, and putting on the old coat, but I will come back again. He stepped into the snowy evening. The door closed after him. Then Niels and Pete wanted to lift the goose, and there was a great deal of excited chatter. Then the Whitney boys left for their home. Bickley's heart sank. He could not tell whether he was more glad of the goose or of the old blue coat being gone. Such a double blessing was almost more than he could take in. Well, well, Mother said, taking the goose in her hands again. This is wonderful. She looked at the old Seth Thomas clock. It's too late to cook it tonight, but I can dress it and have it ready for tomorrow. Let's have our mush and milk right now, Bickley said. I can't wait. I'm too hungry. Goose could be cooked for us when we come home from school tomorrow. That's the best idea, Mother said. I think John will be back from Marshalltown. He's going to stay home now for a while. The corn should have been picked before the snow. Bickley thought Mother's eyes looked worried, but she brightened at once. See, I have baked fresh bread today, so you can have some bread and jelly. And I've churned 2 today, so there's also fresh butter for the bread. The hungry boys sat down at the scant supper and ate heartily. His mother filled the big wash boiler with water and put it over the fire. She prepared to dress the goose. I think it was good of you to give the soldier your coat, Mother said to Bickley. He looked so cold, poor fellow. Now I wonder what you can wear to school. I can wear the coat that's in the barn, Bickley ate his mush with great contentment. You mean the one that the hens are using as a nest? Mother laughed. It's so ragged, it wouldn't keep you warm at all. The smile faded from her face, and she looked troubled, but she didn't say that Bickley shouldn't have given the old coat away. Mother was always very quick to pity people who didn't have clothing or food. I know what we'll do, she said, her face brightening. We'll let you wear my old black coat tomorrow, and then I'll see what I can do about fitting you with a proper coat of some kind. Suddenly the mush in Bickly's bowl tastes bitter. The milk must be sour. His stomach didn't feel good either. The old weight pressed down on him just as it had before Rudolph had come that afternoon. That's the end of chapter 6.